You've killed two of my questions already. Can you please stop doing this?
We'll do it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You want me to? You want me to kick this off, don't you? Oh, thanks. All right, welcome everybody to episode 53 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson, and joining us today from Sports Cards Nonsense, I believe is the name of the show, is Mike Gio. How you going, mate?
7:03 a.m. I just want to show you how committed I am to our friends over the pond. I think that might be England, but same, I'm excited to be here. Very excited. I'm halfway through my drink. I'm not allowed to talk about that yet, but I am pumped. Appreciate you guys. And you got the name right. Nobody says cards. It's always sports card nonsense, so thank you.
So it's only, it's definitely not just one card you guys talk about. So
correct. Yeah. It's a stupid thing to say. It's cards. I don't know why they do that.
Alrighty, let's get through some icebreakers. Mike, tell us your age. How old are you, mate?
This is my question. This is garbage.
I told you that was on the rundown. You didn't think I was joking, did you? It was literally my first question, yeah.
I am 36, and I'm going to say I'm the youngest in the room.
You are spot on.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Who's the older one, Russell or myself?
Oh, the older one the smug one always asks that question. I'm going to say it's you, Adam.
I'm the older one, yes.
Yeah, the older one always wants to ask that. You're playing the numbers game now. I told you, if I was there in person, I'd be all about the weight, the height. How do you guys weigh yourselves, by the way? Is it pounds or stones?
Kilos.
Neither. We don't do pounds or stones.
We're metric over here.
Okay. Do you know what a stone weighs? Does anybody actually know that question?
My dad would know that, yeah, but that was
Is he awake?
I think that's my most common thing that is Googled.
Can we call Russell? Is your dad? Is it midnight over there?
It's midnight. I'm definitely not calling my dad, man. That's like out of the question.
No problem. Okay.
We can Google it though.
Okay.
Congratulations on your Podcast of the Year award. I think we have to at least mention this. So tell us about that experience and how you got there, I suppose, too.
Yeah. Just a quick backstory. I mean, I was a card construction guy. Got into card breaking 2016, 2017 when the first kind of boom happened.
Yep.
And when COVID hit, like most people, got super worried. Hey, we don't have money for jobs. People don't have jobs. People can't pay their rent, grocery bills. Baseball cards are surely going to go away. So I kind of shopped the breaking business around and sold that off. And then was kind of bored. It just needed something to do, and we had a pretty big exit from that. So we started doing Facebook Lives, which was an absolute train wreck. Someone showed me how to use Zoom, and so I was doing this screen share thing where I would play Larry Bird highlights for 20 seconds before the show started, but I didn't mute my microphone, so the intro was just me smashing my keyboard, typing in the show description. It was really bad. We just had fun with it. Just messed around and kind of talked and ranted and did what we want.
Was that with Jesse?
It was actually with my buddy Kyle. I was doing that with my friend Kyle to start, and then I did a couple solo episodes, and then we brought Jesse in because we said, hey, let's put this in podcast form. The Facebook Live was cool, but let's do this as an actual podcast.
Yeah.
So Jesse agreed for free. No sponsorship, no ad money, nothing like that yet. He came on to produce it. He was not on camera. He was simply, here's the file. Do whatever, do your thing. Yeah. And then me and Jesse started doing it after that. Just seemed like a better fit. And again, just timing, really. We did 4 or 5 episodes and got a call from Chris Vernon, who lives here in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah. And then, that was kind of it. Yep.
So just 2 follow-up questions to that. It seems to me like there's a lot of producers that then become hosts onto it. Because I think of Jalen and Jacoby, for me, is like the most famous one. Is that a thing where producers... they get into that with the hope to become a host on a podcast?
50, so it's 50-50. So the Ringer provides our producers now. And some guys, like our last guy, Mike, was awesome with sound, as good as any we've had with actual sound quality. He would almost always edit any response he had on the show out. He wanted to be no part of content. Yeah. Other guys are a little more playful and we work them in. I like it when they're worked in. I mean, they're sitting in the Zoom room with us, just jump in the conversation if you have something to say. Yeah. But, it's 50-50. It's a weird little tech world of, I don't know. Some people like to talk, some don't.
Yeah, okay. It's interesting. And did you accept a physical award when you won Podcast of the Year?
No, I left the day before. I wasn't getting on stage with people. I had to do a 30-second elevator pitch the day we got there to the industry summit. Yep. That was enough for me. I hate being. Yeah, I'm good. Microphone, fine. In person, I'm not super thrilled with being around that many people.
I mean, I'm just like thinking about the whole Will Smith thing. I actually wonder if from now on, like moving into the future, are people going to think about accepting awards in a sort of like a different sort of light or capacity?
The slap factor.
Yeah. I mean,
interesting. I'll tell you right now, I'm not the toughest guy, but anybody in the card world comes up on stage to slap me, I will not Chris Rock the situation. There will be no smiling. Yeah, if I see someone charging the stage, yeah, I'll be.
He took it pretty well, I thought, actually.
Yeah. You can't. He stood there and let it happen. I don't know.
True.
But no, we had our guy Carlos, who works. He's the guy who works for us. He was still there, kind of wrapping up the card show. He went up and then what's great is he got the. He was holding the awards up when they were taking the pictures, so people just thought he was a great podcaster.
And tell us about your first hobby memory.
Oh, first hobby. So it's not like a one moment thing, but I do remember as a young kid, my older brother is 7 years older than me. And our thing back then, of course, it was either Beckett, usually both, Beckett, Tough Stuff, the pricing magazines.
Yep.
They have Tough Stuff in Australia. Was that ever a thing there or no?
Beckett was the big one that we got. That's the only one that we got, I think.
Okay, so Tough Stuff was like a shortened version. You had all 4 sports in there, but much more limited pricing.
Yep.
Our thing was always tracking the price of the Ken Griffey Jr. card, the Upper Deck rookie. I remember as a kid, like religiously every month, what is that thing booked for? And it was always $40, $60, and just being like, man, we're going to be rich one day and own one of these. Because $60 back then was like, unattainable.
It's huge.
But that was always our big thing. That was my first real memory, was the Beckett. And then my first card show, I took I was probably 7, 8 years old. I took all my cards in penny sleeves and put them on the top of the railing on my porch outside, and put a sign in the yard. It said card show. And then the first gust of wind took care of the card show. I was all excited, though. I was like, people are going to be all over this thing. It didn't work out well. No sales.
No sales?
No sales.
That's rough.
Did you used to put them in your pockets and like walk around with them at school? Were you one of those kids? Or were you a bit more protective of them? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would have most of them in top loaders and stuff, but yeah.
Okay.
Because, like I said, of course, my brother's stuff was always in top loaders. He took care of his stuff early. We had one uncle as well. He was a firefighter, and there was 2 or 3 firefighters. That's what they did. That was kind of the side hustle, was cards. Yep. He always had stuff. Some of us had them in school, but I always had my stuff on me.
God.
And I have to ask, this is the ringer angle. Bill Simmons and Joe House, have you met them? Have you had dinner with them? Because...
No. Talked on the phone. Nothing but Zoom.
Okay.
We're in a virtual
By the way, your
world.
last name is Gibson. I'm just seeing this.
That's correct.
Yeah. What's the deal here?
There's a lot of Gibsons in the world.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. Disappointing. No, I never met Bill. We've talked on Zoom a bunch of times. I will say the one thing that kind of was appealing to me is same dude on the like any of his podcasts, he's pretty much the same guy on Zoom. I thought he was going to be super like, okay, now it's corporate time. Always been pretty chill. We text maybe once every 2 weeks or so. Once a week he'll send something, usually like a shot at the show or some left-handed remark. We were supposed to meet at the National. He didn't come because of COVID, so not yet. Vernon I've met a bunch of times. Me and Chris a number of times.
Do you two go way back? Is that the connection there?
No, Chris Vernon sent us a message on Instagram in November, so 2 years ago, or maybe October of 2020, November. He's like, hey, because again, me and Jesse just started distributing stuff everywhere. We found this new thing called TikTok. We were like, all right, put clips on there, and Instagram Reels, all this stuff, YouTube Shorts. We weren't doing any of that, and I told Jesse, like, hey, let's just start putting this stuff out everywhere, and maybe somebody will hear it, and we'll see what happens. But we got an Instagram message. He had a blue check mark, and he was like, can you give me a call? I'd like to talk to you. That's literally how it started. We called Chris. After about 15 minutes, and my boss would like to talk to you. And he kept saying, Bill. And I only knew Chris from his local radio show. I say knew. I listened to him there.
Yeah.
But he kept saying Bill, and finally I was like, who are you talking about? He's like, Simmons, man, come on. And I was like, what? I didn't know he had a podcast.
You need to put a bit more southern kind of like drawl in it when you say like, "Come on,
hey y'all, salmon, Bill Salmons." It was the same thing. I was like, I had no idea he worked for the Ringer. And famously, my stupid move was, he was like, all right, Bill, can I give you a number to my boss? I said, absolutely. Give Simmons whatever you want. Key to my house. He texts me. He says, hey, this is Bill. I'm going to give you a call tonight. He gives me the time. I was like, yeah, awesome. I'm all excited. I go for a drive just because I'm like, I rarely fanboy out. I don't care about athletes like that. Tom Brady could walk in. Well, he's probably the exception. Anybody else, you're just like, okay, athlete, cool. Excited to meet him, but I don't fanboy. Simmons, I fanboyed. And so I was like, I went out for a drive. Then I went for a jog back when I wasn't fat. And then I got home, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting ready for this call. I'm taking a shower. The phone rings. And I was like, what in the time zone? So he was an hour ahead of me. So when he called, I just stood in the shower and took the call. I shut the water off. But that's how we sealed the deal.
I doubt Simmons is going to listen to this, but does he know that you were naked having that conversation with him?
Okay, Russell, how about some boundaries? I don't know. I don't think I ever told him. You know what, too? I don't think he would. I have noticed my humor with people. It goes 50-50. Either they laugh or they're just like, oh, in the shower. Okay, and they move on. So I haven't brought it up yet. In person. That's an in-person story.
That's definitely face-to-face.
Saving it. Yep. I'm saving it.
Christmas discussion.
Sure.
Oh, you guys have got Thanksgiving coming up soon. You never know.
I don't even celebrate any holidays, so it doesn't matter to me. I'll talk to him tomorrow about it.
Cool.
But I can't get him out here.
Yeah. The reason I brought up Joe House specifically is because we talked about where we're from earlier. We're from Melbourne. We may be famous for the most livable city in the world. We've won that award a few times. We've also had the award dubiously of being the most locked down city in the world. So during that time, I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I actually started listening to House of Carbs because I was so like becoming fixated on food. You know, literally have nothing else to do but eat food and, you know, do basketball cards. So, but I was getting like quite increasing my weight a lot. So I had to like actually stop listening. He's actually an excellent podcaster, and
yeah,
I don't know how much of that sort of like Bill Simmons stuff you've listened to, but I've been listening to Simmons for a very long time. And when I first listened to him, I would never have thought he would get to the heights that he's like got to today in his like podcasting career. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's just exceptional now, actually, I think. And yeah,
it's tough for me to wrap my mind around how people can speak that passionately about so many different things.
Yeah,
it is weird. I don't.
And for so long, yeah. And
then just honestly, the content grind. Like, we do 2 shows a week. Granted, we're kind of boxed in because it's cards. Like, we can't go just full sports.
How many is House doing now?
Oh,
what, 5? Yeah.
He's both, I mean, all of them. Simmons, too. Between the stuff he does and his other shows, the energy those guys bring is wild to me.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. What's your most ideal sponsor for a podcast?
That's a good question. Most ideal sponsor?
While you're thinking about it, I'll just like lay a bit of like groundwork down. Did you hear the Kevin Smith interview that Simmons did?
No, I did not.
Okay, you got to listen to it. I'm going to spoil a little bit. So Kevin Smith said that one of his original sponsors was Fleshlight, and that
so not that. That is not my ideal sponsor.
And that basically it saved his podcasting career because at the time he had all these unaccounted server costs that he didn't think he would have to pay for, and they basically came through and like saved the day. So,
really,
yeah,
wow.
You know, the one that reached out, and they reach out to a lot of people, from what I hear, was Manscaped, and I was just like, I'm good. Nah, I'm all right.
Yeah,
I don't really have any use to talk about you. I mean, do what you want, clip where you want, but I don't need you to be on the show. Like, I don't see myself at any point like, you know, sports cards and manscaping. Like, it just, what? What are we talking about? So,
I mean,
that's true.
We would have to have a discussion at least about this, right? Surely.
What about?
Do you want me to send them over?
Ideal?
Adam, are you in?
Why not? Let's do it.
We're at that Kevin Smith point with Fleshlight, to be honest, where, you know, that would be quite good.
Are you saying Fleshlight? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly what you're thinking. It is exactly what you're thinking. And that's all. I'll leave it there. Yep.
I like this show. I'm in. Third man in. Count me in next month.
Let's go.
Yeah, I don't. That is a good question. I mean, we have tried to really stick with people. So it's different too. We have ad reads, like actual show sponsors. So
Yeah.
eBay is the big one.
Interesting.
Which just kicked in this. I think it just kicked in this last episode, our first one. Jesse does a 30-second and a 60-second read for eBay.
Yeah.
And it's literally just here's the script, but that all goes through Spotify and then gets the sign off by the Ringer and then comes to us like, hey, here's your ad read. It was like, and it could have, some of the guys do Home Depot, all that.
Yeah.
We don't, but that's not our cash. Anything read on the show is all Spotify cash. We just had our sponsors from other socials, really, and we just say, hey, if it happens to come up on the podcast, fantastic.
Yeah.
Honestly, the best fit for us at the time was SGC. I was grading like a maniac. PSA shut down, BGS shut down.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I don't know where. And people think it's like, oh, these guys come to you with money, and all of a sudden you turn. I was like, no, I was sending them like 2,000 cards a month, and I was like, hey, I just kind of called them. I was like, hey, can you start paying us? Like, we're talking about you a lot, sending you a lot of stuff. What's going on here? So that one made sense at the time, especially. I mean, it was the only option. And I liked them, and then I talked to Peter, and I was like, okay. But yeah, a lot of it was just guys we were working with already. I was like, hey, you got to start paying me. Like, we're talking about you. We get a lot of ears. Like, why don't you start kicking us some cash?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, look, we talk about sponsorship, and I think we're of the same sort of mindset, actually. We want to sort of find people that just make sense. And I think that SGC, because I do remember you talking about that quite a bit. Are you still subbing with them now, or have you moved away because PSA's come down a bit?
I still sub with PSA every month as well.
Yeah.
But to me, I mean, and I think, we get a little bit of preferential treatment on return time.
Yeah.
But if I ship out a card Monday, I usually have it back at my house Friday.
That's
like,
nice. Yeah.
I mean, and it's like $18. So I'm just like, man, I still go crazy, especially with new release stuff. Like Topps Update, or I'm trying to think, like Prism Basketball is a good example for me. When Prism Basketball comes out, like everybody wants to talk comps, 3-6 months later. I'm like, yeah, but I had the first Cade Cunningham SGC 10, and it came out again, and I got the product early, which you can't sell it, but at times we'll rip early stuff just for my own personal. I'll sit at home and rip a box. I'll have a graded card back the day after release.
Oh, wow.
I win the comp game. Like, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm like, if it's that fast, yeah, the first PSA 10 is going to go for more, but is it going to go for more 2 months later?
Yeah.
I don't. So yeah, I've always been a subscriber on stuff like that. I want to be first and out the door.
Yeah.
So now, granted, if that was a red Cunningham that's going at PSA, but yeah, for just the weekly turn and burn, the quantity, I love SGC still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My last sort of running question is: Melbourne is a very big coffee city, and caffeine is really what we're talking about here. What's your caffeine of choice?
What does that mean, by the way? Most livable. Like, is it like a good thing, or just like people just aren't dying here?
Everyone's really nice. You're less likely to get mugged. There's a variety of food. I don't know what the criteria are.
Yeah,
actually.
it's food. Yeah. It's transportation. Roads and also public transport.
Okay.
It's supposed to be cost of living, and then I think that's, to be honest, probably why we've come down a little bit. Transport is a little bit less, and cost of living's gone up a little bit.
Has around the world though.
Yeah.
I'm a Monster guy. I do the no sugar. The zero sugar. I am trying to chill out. That was cool. Some random guy messaged too. He's like, I live in Hendersonville, which is where I live.
Yeah.
He's like, can I bring you some pallets of this crap? This was like 2 years ago. I was like, yep, sure can, buddy. I've been trying to cut back. What's the best city in Australia? Do they have that award? Or is that the most livable? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, well, we would argue that Melbourne is the best city in Australia. But
I think it depends where you come from. If you're from Sydney, you'll be like, well, Sydney's the best city.
That's huge, though, isn't it?
It's bigger than Melbourne, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a little bit busier, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm Melbourne, Team Melbourne.
Yeah, good. I think you've made the right decision.
Yep, I feel good about it.
What is your NBA hobby, Mount Rushmore?
Oh, what does that mean? Tell me, like, who I'm collecting? Or what do you?
Well, I was going to... Yeah. So this is your mountain, so you can construct it however you want.
That's right. You chip those faces into the stone how you see fit.
Okay. Bird and Bill, for sure, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Kevin, if he's in a Celtics uniform. My other man.
Kevin Garnett?
Kevin Garnett, yep. Loved him. That was the year we got married, too. That team took off. My wife actually got into basketball just that 1 year because she liked Rondo, and so he was super exciting to watch play. Man, I don't know if I have a fourth for that. Those are the three I collect. Like, I actively pursue Bill and Bird.
Yeah.
Kevin, if he's in a Celtics uniform, I kind of like. Let's go with, I guess, honestly, Magic. Just because he's on so much stuff with Bird, I've always loved that connection. Okay. So, yeah, those four for me.
Do you have a particular, if you're chiseling this mountain yourself, do you have a particular card you would put in each spot?
So the rookie, the Bird, Russell, the Bird, Magic, Dr. J, the Russell rookie. Those are the big two.
Yeah.
There's another card. There's some crazy stuff from earlier years, Immaculate, where it'd be the 4-player autos.
Yeah.
I actually saw one recently. It was, I forget because there's a couple variations, but it's like Bill Russell, Bird, McHale, Paul Pierce, anything stuff like that. I love on-card multiplayer autos. I traded away one of my favorite cards of all time, and I never. It was just an Immaculate number to 10 Bird Bill Russell autograph. The Bird Magic stuff. So anything like that would be on my list. Same thing, Bird Magic stuff, the old exquisite, old Ultimate Collection, from early 2000s. I love.
So I gotta ask, you traded away a card like that. What did you get back for it?
So in my infinite wisdom, this was at the Boston card show at Fenway Park where the Red Sox play. Yeah. They had their first card show there this past, I think it was May of this year, as a matter of fact, when Jesse gave me COVID. This guy had a kind of a rare Tom Brady rookie card. And so I thought, you know what? I had to add a little bit of cash, but he was very fair on pricing. And I just thought at the time the market was kind of starting to move. So I said, I'm not going to drop $5,000 on the card because I just don't know. I'd rather just trade currency for currency, card for card.
Yeah.
So we did that. I like the Brady, but looking back, I almost wish I had held the other.
Yeah.
Bill is not signing anymore either. So. Well, he's dead. Sorry. That was a little Boston humor there. All right. Yeah. Next question.
That's all right. No, we're not in too soon territory for Bill.
Poor Bill.
Died Sunday of the National, by the way. Talk about a wild day at the show. Dude, people were like, were you guys at the show by chance?
No.
Come over? Okay.
Not this year.
I mean, talk about wild. Literally, people were like running around telling vendors that, and vendors were actively either changing pricing or just pulling cards out of showcases.
Yeah.
Like scrambling to do so. It was actually kind of comical to see.
It's, I mean, there's not many players that happens with, though, when you think about it. Like, it doesn't...
Yeah.
We went to a card show after he passed, and I actually thought the prices weren't as outrageous as I was sort of had in my mind was going to happen.
Yeah, it was like a 2-day spike, and then it was like people remembered, but we're not sure about the market. Yeah, and they're cheaper now than they were then.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'd probably add to that too is I'm really appreciating what the NBA is doing for him. I think they're giving that man a lot of well-deserved respect. And I love the number 6 that's on all the jerseys this year. I think I'm sort of fingers crossed some of those are going to end up in cards in the next, sort of 1 or 2 years. I think that would be, I don't know, to me that'll be really exceptional. Yeah.
Yeah, that irritated me years ago when LeBron made the big thing about, because he made a whole big stunt about no more 23, out of respect for Jordan. Then he put on number 6, and I was like, hey, bro, no offense, but the guy won 11 rings. He's probably top 5 all time as well.
Yeah.
Did as much for the game as anybody and for civil rights and everything else he did. So, and I get it. He was like, but I was like, if you're going to say you're not wearing a number because it's too good, don't put on Bill's jersey. Like, leave that one on the sides too. But
look, I don't want to oversimplify this, but I'm assuming LeBron just went 2 × 3 = 6, and then that's as far as his thought process went, right? Like, surely he.
I was actually thinking LeBron was like, all right, you know what? 2 + 3 = 6, and nobody had the heart to tell him it wasn't right, and he just rolled with it. So
that's probably true, actually. Given, no one's going to be honest with LeBron.
No.
I don't think that he's got a crew behind him like Vladimir Putin's for some reason. He seems to have pretty good tutelage and mentorship.
I tell you what, say whatever you want about him. Like, I hate that he flaws. I don't like his style of play. Who cares? As a businnosman, I don't know that you can really knock much of what he's done.
And the human being, I think the charity work that he does, and because I was out drinking tonight with a friend, and I was actually talking about this exact issue. I'm like, I can't really say to you I'm the biggest fan of LeBron, but I cannot fault that man as a man and as a person. It's really hard to.
Yeah, what's he done? What's he ever done off the court? Like, he's never had an off the court scandal like Kobe.
Yeah.
He's not like, I mean, by all accounts, he's a crazy, smart, successful businessman, a decent family guy, and he takes care. Like, I just don't like that he flops on the court. Who cares?
Yep.
Tell us about the projects that you're working on at the moment. What have you got on the go? Because it seems like you have a lot happening.
Yeah, so we're doing the. We kind of made an app. Is WhatsApp? Is Whatnot a thing in Australia?
We know what it is, but it's not the same way. And I think part of the problem is the shipping.
Okay.
With that, it's built into the.
Gotcha. So Whatnot is a live streaming platform. We kind of built one to not even compete. Whatnot at this point is like Walmart. It's so crazy big, successful. I hate their guts, but awesome at what they do. We built something similar, live streaming, so you can go on there and, live auction cards, live auction boxes, breaks, all that stuff. So that's kind of been our big focus, that and the podcast, just kind of building that out. And we're at the point now where we're doing like meetings with VCs, venture capitalist people to try to raise a check to kind of go next level with that. So that time-wise, that has been the most consuming. And then I've kind of started getting back in the wax game. Yeah. I had a little bit of time. I was like, you know what? I wouldn't hate breaking once or twice a week again. I just kind of enjoy it. And now that I'm not relying on the cash from it, it's awesome. I was like, hey, if it sells cheap, whatever. If it sells great, awesome. But I've been kind of having fun messing around with that again.
So you can actually have fun with it rather than actually depending on it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because before it's like, okay, I'm getting 6 allocated cases. I need to cost average with 9, rebuys. What's my profit margin on those 6? Now it's just like, hey, who cares? Buy a few cases, let them sit. I'm kind of able to play it like the stock market a little bit more, which I like. Like Prism Soccer today, years past, I never would have bought that because it would have just sat in my closet. And now I'm like, let it sit. Like, who knows? Soccer seems to be pretty popular.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
And then, do you think that plays hand in hand with your podcasting?
How so?
Well,
I like to answer questions with questions.
I like it.
Well, I think for me, I enjoy podcasting because I break, and I think I enjoy breaking more because I podcast. And
that's an interesting thought. Yeah.
I actually use my podcast, my break feed to almost practice things I want to talk about, or even sort of flesh them out in my head before I put them into the run sheet and talk about them with ads. So I sort of feel sorry for the guys that I break for because they're almost like guinea pigs, I suppose. But I really feel like those two things have really fed off each other. And also, without saying the obvious, breaks are very slow at the moment. And I like what you just said then, because my mental space is sort of in different places, it sort of taken the pressure off a little bit, I think. So I really feel like those two things go hand in hand really well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I have not ever really sat down and thought about the way you just expressed it. But yeah, I would agree then. Yeah, because there'll be certain little ideas. I did something yesterday where I was just ripping a couple boxes for myself with a few people watching. It wasn't a big crowd.
Yeah.
I just got in a big rant about 2020 football products. So
yeah,
and I will probably work that into Thursday's show. Yeah. So I can see that.
Yeah, I guess it just comes down to you talked earlier about Bill's passion and how he puts out so much content. And if you're enjoying what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work. And if there's no pressure to actually get the break and make a profit margin, you just want to bust product. Obviously, you enjoy it, so that joy comes through. Yep.
Yeah, way different feel. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree there.
Yep.
Hey, do you want to run through your questions, mate?
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm really. I don't want to bring any negativity into the discussion. But
here we go. The elder statesman here. Let's do this, Adam. I'm pumped. Okay,
look,
Adam.
Yes.
Before we do this, now I gotta interject. So you're older. How much older than Russell are you?
Less than a year.
Oh.
Wait.
Do either one of you guys have kids?
More than a year.
I've got 2 kids.
He's got kids.
Yeah.
How old are your kids, Russell?
4 and 2.
How old is your? Okay. Oh, 4 and 2. All right.
Yeah.
Man, it's tough to see. I can't see bodies here. I can only see neck up. I'm gonna go. Oh man, this is tough. But then he's rocking that shirt. I don't know what that is. Jack Sparrow, maybe. Okay.
Maybe.
I'm gonna go 41.
Yeah, I'm 40. I'm turning 41 pretty soon. That's pretty good.
Yeah, bang, bang. 40 and 41.
Man, I'm good at this. How tall are you? I'll get the. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to nail the height and weight. I'm going to get it. I can't guess height because you're sitting down. It's not fair.
I'm 178 centimeters, so I'm just Googling what that is. So that's 5'8".
And I'm 5'7".
Okay, I'm going $159 for Adam and $163 for Russell.
So I'm going to get a $163. Do you mean 163 pounds?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is
I've been waiting for this
73.4 kilograms. You're actually insanely close. I'll just say correct. Yeah.
This is my skill: height, age, and weight. I can just guess it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Bang. No, that was great.
Very good.
Adam goes, that was great. Can I ask my questions now?
It's like, fine. Now I've forgotten my question.
Russell, do you have the dark web, buy the rest of my demographics, and then you pretty much have got everything on me. You're good to go, man. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Missed the calling in identity theft. We just wanted to. I was curious. What is it like over in the States at the moment, as far as the feel or the vibe and the mindset in the hobby? Are people optimistic? Are they pessimistic? Are they being positive? Are they being negative? Is it because of what's going on with the economy? Is it just a market correction? What is the feel? Like, what is it like out there?
So, if you, just to give a couple things like kind of in a vacuum, if you just go to a card show, awesome. Like, in general, the feel is really good. We're at the point where people are like, hey, I know I'm going to lose money as a dealer on these cards, but I'm going to sell them. The majority. Some guys are still like, hey, I paid too much in March and I'm keeping it. Okay. Yeah. In general, though, I feel like the majority of people at shows have moved past it. What is it worth today? I want money back so I can start making other moves. Pretty good.
Okay.
Breaking is still slow compared to where it was for sure.
Yeah.
And the release schedule's been, has certainly hampered that. The one thing, though, is that I would say is the most negative and the most vocal is the small few on social media with the loudest voices.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing to me how many people just love to crap on other people. Like, one of the running things here to do in the States, and especially like in our Facebook group, it'll be like, Justin Herbert has a bad game. How are those Herbert cards looking, you idiots? I'm like, I don't know. I bought a card of a guy I thought was going to be great. Like, hey, how's that Michael Jordan card you just bought looking now that it's down? So there is definitely a super vocal, although I think it is small, fraction that are just like, this thing is over. And I don't even understand the motivation. Because my question is always like, okay, so if you're right about that, everything just comes crashing down. Awesome. Like, you're right, and now the market's totally dead. So I'm always like, what's the point? I'm all about being honest. Like, the market is down right now, period. We've stopped talking really almost any buys and sells because I just tell people, anybody else out there knows as much as me. Like, I'm taking my shots where I think they're there, and I'm being a little more cautious. But it does, that stuff drives me nuts. Because there is definitely a small but very vocal, just everything is terrible.
Yeah.
And people hate manufacturers. I don't get that either. Everybody hates Panini, then they hate Topps. So do we just not like anything? Like, what do we? I don't know. Like,
it's who are we going to pick at? It's always who are we going to pick at and why? Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's justified, I'm all about it. The whole hologram thing that I saw in the Crown Royal boxes. Have you guys heard about that? The Kaboom?
Oh, we were gonna raise that. Yeah, we can chat about. I want to briefly touch on that.
Why don't we thread that in now? Let's have a quick chat about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like that, to me, if that is true. So again, there's truth, and then there's like this crazy exaggerated part. Do I think it's possible they screwed up and put a sticker on the case hits? Yeah, anything's possible. And from as much as I've seen, I think it's probably likely that happened with at least some.
Yeah.
Now, I have not seen anybody post a video where they rip one and it doesn't have it, which doesn't mean it's not happening. But I've seen probably 8 videos of guys, okay, here's the box, I'm going to go live and rip it.
Yeah.
I talked about on the show yesterday, I'm irritated we haven't gotten a statement from Panini. I would like to hear, hey, even if it's like, hey, we did screw up. But even that, do I think that box being in a sealed case is then, well, that case has to go to this breaker because it's a loaded case? Well, no, they're one per case. It's not like we're seeing examples where there's 16 of those in the 16.
There's no hot cases that have got all the code. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not a retail product. It's only on hobby boxes. So I'm just kind of like, is it a screw up? Probably. How many? And not to mention, when did Crown come out? This is such a monumental, unbelievable scandal. It took 6 months for anybody to notice, and it's affected nothing. I'm not letting Panini off the hook. I'm wearing a Panini sweatshirt, by the way.
I'm also a Panini defender too, by the way. So that's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're a big sponsor of ours as well. I messaged and emailed everybody. That was my complaint yesterday. I don't even care what the truth. I want the truth. I would just like to hear something.
So my question that I had on the rundown, I was going to ask you is, what is the practical reason why they would put a particular sticker on that box? Because this is what we were fleshing out on the show the other day. My understanding is that the packets are done by machines.
Yep.
But then does a human put the box with the case hit into the actual case and then it gets sealed up? Because I'm just trying to think about the pragmatic reason why they would need to.
So that's what I would also like to know. I have gotten a very, very basic understanding of how it works in the actual manufacturing packing warehouse. My thought was, and again, because those are case hits, you have to make sure one of those is in every box.
Yeah.
As opposed to just having like, hey, this stack all has the kaboom in it, put one in.
Yeah.
The machine reads that code and knows 1 per 16 boxes it's inserted.
Okay.
That may be totally naive. I don't know.
That part is still done by a machine.
It's still automated, and that's why there's a code that it needs to recognize.
That is my theory. But and that's what I want to confirm with Panini. Like, hey, when these boxes are all there, is the case physically machine packed, or is it a human packing them? I don't know, because it's not just one serial number. There's like a variance of if it's from 6 to 9, those certain numbers. So it's a number of them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, because there's a sequence that's been identified, right? And the bigger problem is if there are other codes to be cracked, so to speak.
Sure.
Then other products and other case hits become vulnerable.
Exactly.
You don't want a bunch of product to be dead product because it doesn't have a kaboom in it.
Correct.
But Panini can still issue a statement, though. They don't have to tell everyone the process and breach their own processes by telling the world something that makes them vulnerable. But they need to come out and say, yep, there's a quality control issue. We're on it. We've fixed it. They need to reassure the public. But my question to that is, are they just going silent on it because there's not long to go now before Fanatics take over?
That was Jesse's thought, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the other thought, too, is, I don't know, what's going to happen if we don't say anything about it? Sports Card Radio is going to make a big thing about it and get a bunch of views.
Yeah.
Am I not going to go buy a box because of that? No, it doesn't really affect me. I'm glad to know it. But and then the other thing, too, is if this is, again, such a widespread thing, the only product we're talking about is Crown Royal. With all the I actually do think it's a good thing there's so many people who will go nuts down these rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But you mean to tell me a subpar Crown Royal product is the only product that this is done in? Because it's supposed to be this big theory and this big conspiracy. If that were the case, there would be just YouTube videos of guys with 20 NT boxes and everyone has a logo, man.
Immaculate.
That's what I mean. So I happen to think this is probably a one-off. But I would love to know if that's true or not. I'd love to have it confirmed or denied.
Well, I guess there's the crossover. Did Backyard Breaks receive the boxes they got because of said barcoding sequence or sequencing on the holograms?
Sure. So this was the issue I had with that. Because, again, now I think we've seen, like, in most people's minds, the content narrative is, hey, Backyard Breaks is getting loaded cases.
Do you believe that?
Not at all. I mean, that is one thing Panini specifically told us. And I know this because I've tried to leverage our sponsorship this way. Can we just get cases from you? Can we buy direct? They do not sell direct cases to breakers. They just don't sell them to you. So if you're getting, and if you go to DealerNet, which is a business-to-business website, I'm on it every day. All breakers, guys who deal in wax are on it. You see the name of who's on there, and it's just a place to post. Hey, I'm looking to buy this product. I'm looking to buy that product. I'm trying to sell it, whatever.
Yep.
Backyard Breaks buys on there every single day. Like, you can see the transaction records. They're buying from everybody all over the place because they need product.
Well, someone did the numbers on what they're breaking, like 480,000 US a day. So how on earth they procure that much.
15 million. I had heard 8 to 10 million a month, but if you're telling me it's 15, I wouldn't be shocked. Not to mention, I just that guy privately, the owner of that company, unbelievably intelligent guys.
Yeah.
And I got news for you, like it's a totally different thing, and they've been wildly successful. It's the same mindset that Jesse has. We could do a little bit of a shtick and be really good at it and make a ton of money. Those guys are almost all like law school guys. Like, they're crazy intelligent kids.
Yeah.
But they know, hey, if we go in there and get a little loud and get a little crazy, it's entertaining. People want to see it. Jesse is 10 times smarter than I'm ever going to be. He's a Series 7, college grad, unbelievably smart, been crazy successful in his corporate world.
Yeah.
He quit that to be the dummy on a show.
Yeah.
He's not stupid. He's just smart enough to know if I play the dummy. Now, granted, he doesn't have any knowledge of sports, but he plays into that kind of, which is smart. Like, good for you. It comes off as very genuine because for the most part it is. And he's smart enough to realize, like, hey, I don't need to be on here being the smart guy in the room. So,
can I give you my take on your relationship, though?
Absolutely.
Because I take that Jesse is very much the... I need to say this in the nicest possible way. You're kind of the person who's in charge, and he facilitates and supports.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in itself is a skillful... That's... Not everyone can do that.
Yeah.
It takes you, honestly, I tell you, it's the most underappreciated quality in the world, humility.
Yeah.
He is humble enough to be like, hey, in this area, Mike is better. Which, by the way, one of the only areas like that. When we go out in public, when we go to shows, when we do any other type of stuff, when we're dealing with sponsors, sales, all that stuff.
He leads that segment.
Oh, yeah, because he's good at it. I sit back, man, he kills it. But in this particular area, he's like, hey, this is kind of your world. I can play off that. I can take a back seat. But people don't do that now. Nobody wants a back seat. Everybody's got to be the star and to the detriment of brands a lot of times.
Yeah, completely understand that.
I had this question in my head for later, but I'm going to run it in now because it's going to fit perfectly. So another thing I've observed with you guys is I think you get some enjoyment or satisfaction in giving him public feedback. How do you feel about that statement?
I don't care that it's public. I talked to him. That was my only rule for him. I said there are never content restrictions on you. The only rule I had is when the mic's on, it's the same as when the mic's off. He has not quite gotten there all the way yet.
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, in real life, he will rip back at me just as hard. But I think he enjoys playing the victim a little bit. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I don't mind it. It's kind of worked. But I talked to him there the same way I would talk to him. I think it's funny to talk. I talk to all my buddies like that. I'm just a sarcastic little twerp. Like to take shots at people.
Yep.
And if this next bit makes me cry, I'm going to edit it out. But would you be kind enough to give us some live on air feedback on our show? Because
here's the only thing I was thinking. So I like your Let me start. I'm going to build you up, then smash it.
No, smash it.
I think you guys are more balanced than most. I've never seen like a. Here's this wild take just for this. And let me say this too. I've probably listened to a combined 2 hours. I listened to a bunch of different episodes. I think it was episode 34 or 36. The one you sent me, I listened to quite a bit. After that, I was like, I'm just going to hit 3 minutes here, 5 minutes here, jump around.
Yeah.
So, in this, you can take this for nothing because I'm very new at this myself.
No. I think if you win Podcast of the Year, you get some panache. All right,
I guess I don't know what that even means, but that's fine. Fancy words. I'm throwing that around in Melbourne. Okay, so I like the content by and large because I think it's balanced. I think it's reasonable takes, which makes sense. You guys are 40. You're not 20-year-olds trying to get clickbait stuff. The only thing I would say is, and maybe this is just your personality in real life, so then great. You guys. And this is literally my only criticism.
No, take it.
I don't hear you guys talk over each other much. You are and maybe just because you're polite. I don't even know. But I have noticed sometimes you will go. It's almost a you speak, I speak.
Okay.
And sometimes, and I can even see it today. This is the only reason I've even held up on this.
Oh, wow.
Because I did feel like when I came in here, depending on how you guys did it today, I'd be like, you know what? That's just how they are. There are times when I've seen both of you, it almost seems like you're holding back. Even with me, I had him a couple times, was ready to just jump in, and he kind of held back from saying it. See, when it cut me off, I don't know. To me, I'm like, just talk over each other, go nuts. It cuts down on dead time, and it seems more authentic to me.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
But you guys aren't rude like I am. I just did it again. I just jumped all over Adam right there.
I like it.
No, look, I would say one thing that, and we've talked about this off air, is getting feedback from people that is authentic and genuine, I think is very difficult, because I would say most of the people that listen to you do it because they enjoy it.
Sure.
And if people don't enjoy it, they just sort of rage quit and then never come back. So, or it's your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, so.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
But no, I actually like the concept of the show. I think you guys stay in your lane, which I like. I don't need, I actually have enjoyed, as much as I enjoyed the majority of the content in the space. That was my only thing. Sometimes I'm like, oh, Russell's kind of talking and opening. And I'm like, I don't know, Adam, hey, that was a dumb take he just said. Just tell him.
Just go over the top and go.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And again, if that is not your personality, then it's not authentic anyways, and you don't force a square peg in a round hole. But
we don't actually really have conflict. I guess it's like you have your say. If I think you're ridiculous, I'll wait till you're done, and then I'll tell you you're an idiot.
And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
No,
it's just a different style. That was stylistically for me. That was the only thing I thought. Oh, I'd like to hear that.
Yeah,
it's probably just as many people say, "Oh, I appreciate that these guys are just reasonable and patient and let each other finish sentences." So I don't know.
Well, I think we talked about this before and after the show last week, and so last week it was just us two, obviously, Russell and I. This week we have a guest. I feel like the show's different when we've got a guest to when we do our normal show. Like, we've got a structure, we've got a couple of segments, things that we do regularly, and a way that we talk. And then when there's a guest on, it's literally if we're in a booth at a bar and just having a chat about wax, which is great. Yep. And I think,
totally different though, right? It is. Me and Jesse struggle with this. I really like the third man in.
Yep.
But there are shows when at the end of it, he's like, I don't even know why I was here. Because I'll have a guy on that's crazy card-oriented and knowledgeable. The one we just did, there's a guy named Filmington. His name is Phil on YouTube. Super intelligent guy. In real life, very witty.
Yeah.
And some of it was his connection. There was like a tiny, tiny delay. And it's almost like his speaker shut off when he was speaking. Because a couple times, Jesse just straight was like, hey, what are you talking about when you said that, though? And he just kept rolling, didn't even hear it. It crazy threw the show off, because then Jesse's like, well, I can't keep up with card talk, and I don't want him to anyways. I don't want the three of us just sitting there with the same point of view. Mm-hmm. And then you have people that come on that do what I do. You come in and cannibalize a conversation. Yeah. So it's third man is a weird dynamic for sure.
Yeah. You recently did a segment on vintage versus modern card collectors. I just wondered if you could extend that.
Like this.
Russell, no. I was just going to say, if you can extend that conversation, that's great. But the question I did want to ask is a little bit of, where do you think that the vintage card collectors end and where do the modern card collectors begin? Because I'm sort of all about, where are these two groups and, why are they coming at each other? And you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm sort of interested to.
I want to know about the void in the middle.
So yeah, I that was one. That's an episode that would have been better if Jesse was there, because he could have kind of checked some of that and actually asked some of those questions. That's a good example of me missing the second voice for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My take was, again, a lot of the negativity I hear is, hey, you just spent $1,000 on name a 25 and younger on Luka Doncic. Well, yeah, but you're stupid. Luka was $2,000 a few years ago. You bought after that at $800 because it was a great buy, and now that same Prism 10 is $350. You're dumb. And I just was getting irritated with hearing that, because I thought, okay, well, you just bought a Michael Jordan rookie for $400,000, and now it's worth $200. You're just as dumb as I am.
Yeah, I think some of those guys have taken some crazy hits, haven't they?
Yeah, and now granted, and this is the part I missed, and I think Jesse would have probed it and brought it out of me. He would have really probed me. There's your show, Jesse probes Mike. Is that at the end of the day, vintage is solidified.
Yeah.
Ja Morant could break his leg tomorrow. He's totally done, and in 6 years, no one remembers him. There is that lasting, at least somewhat of a baseline value.
Yeah.
But my overall thought was just like, yeah, we're talking about instant gains and instant losses, like with a Trae Young, who is in the tank right now despite playing well.
Yeah.
I just don't think you're smarter because you bought a Patrick Ewing and it's down 60%. and I bought a Trae Young and it's down 60%. Yes, Ewing will never go to zero because he's an all-time great. Trae might. Maybe Trae. But I'm also of the thought, well, Trae also may have a crazy playoff run and spike again. I don't think Patrick's spiking again. So I just, the looking down. Where does that start? To me, it's always, I consider Jordan the beginning of basketball vintage now for me. Some guys say it's 79 and older. I always just say, for me, it's Jordan and before.
So that means modern is like 82 and after? Is that what you're saying?
So modern, I would go 87. So Jordan was 86. So 87 to 2016 or 2017. To me, ultra modern starts 2018 because that's when it comes. Just because, and honestly, I base that just on production.
Okay.
You look at 2017, Tatum. Tatum has.
Well, I was going to say, look at the pop counts on all of the. Yeah, simple as that. Yeah.
You mean Fox, right?
Fox.
De'Aaron? Please. I do like Donovan Mitchell. So, that's my thing. 2017 is the end of modern for basketball. 2018 is when it started getting weird. But football's a year later. 2018 football had low pop counts.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I guess the most common thing I hear, and this is where I jump. My first experiences was the junk wax era, the early 90s when Jordan was already a thing, and you know what I mean? Like you could buy bulk product. That's not vintage in my eye, but that's that black hole before the modern era, really.
Actually, I agree. That's actually a better way to put it, Adam. 87, and probably even a little bit after. 89 to 90, 95?
Yeah.
Probably is just junk wax. After that, I guess it probably starts the modern.
Yeah, because it did trail off a bit after Jordan came out of retirement. People sort of got back in. Then you had the crazy 96 draft, so you had Kobe. Yep. And then modern sort of starts to take off in that mid to late 90s spot. Right. But before that, try and find a card that's actually worth something is a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, you can name them, right? 93 finest refractors. Why? Because it's the first time we ever saw a glossy product with a refractor too. But you're right. And then 94, kind of 95, and 96, great class, and all of a sudden we start seeing product that's cool. Yeah. Numbered cards becoming regular. Yeah, I'm stealing that take. That's a better take. I like that.
I don't know. I don't like junk wax, but it feels like that is the void between vintage and modern.
Absolutely. No, the way you put that, I totally agree.
I think my big complaint here is it's a bit like my dad when he talks about how much he paid for his house.
Back in my day. Right?
Yeah. Well, I really can't go back in a time machine and buy those cards at this particular time. So I really don't understand why you are sort of, looking down on us. And I suppose my follow-up question to this too is, and I think Card Porn has made a concerted effort this week, is like, how do you sort of shine some positivity, back onto the hobby? So I think, we have sort of touched on a couple of negatives here. What do you think, what's your positives at the moment coming out for the hobby? Because I've got to be honest with you, I'm having a lot more fun than I was having maybe 12 months ago.
I mean, number one, way more things are now attainable and accessible because of the price.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, you couldn't get a Luka for $2,000 2 years ago, year and a half ago. Now I can get it for $300.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think, and in terms of breaking, I'm trying to keep it relevant with basketball, football, basketball. Select basketball hobby boxes right now are like $500. When's the last time that's still a lot for people?
Yeah.
But there are so many more people who can buy in at $500 than could buy in at $1,200 like they've been.
Yeah.
Spectra, $700-800. That hasn't been I do think it's opened up that for more people.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Definitely.
Yeah, look, I do think, and it comes down to, there's a lot of areas where this is relevant, but why is there a need for people to pick at others in order to make themselves feel better? And this is what you're talking about people putting collectors down because they've made a choice. They've bought a card at a certain price.
Yep.
You're right. It's not... Sure, someone made a bad choice. But it doesn't mean that they're an idiot.
Right.
Like, the market is doing...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The market does what it does, right? 2021, when the boom happened, it was a boom. It's got to be corrected. People are going to lose out. That doesn't make people idiots. It's unfortunate if people put everything they had into a card and then lost right? It doesn't make someone stupid, and there's definitely no point in tearing them down for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be like, it's okay,
and
I'm
even
sure.
That point gets so exaggerated, right? Because, like, Adam, say, for example, in my best example, this is the Kobe Rose-Zero rookie.
Yeah.
I tell the story because it's my biggest, and it's not a loss because I haven't sold it, but I paid $27,000. It's worth $4 right now.
Yeah.
There are a lot of guys who did that, and that is the sexiest headline right there.
Yep.
What I only tell some people when it comes up is, I bought 2 that week. One was a true gem that I bought for 30 and sold the next day for 35. How many cards along the way in that boom did you kill it on? Yeah, I got crushed on a few, as a lot of us did, but I'm still like, I don't know. I still made a lot of good along the way.
Yeah.
But the negativity clicks, even card porn you just brought up, they get so much less engagement right now on a post. Hey, what's something positive about the hobby?
No one wants to
likes.
click on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, here's the biggest, we've been investigating such and such, and it's clickbait.
It's clickbait. It incites the emotion. It's the emotion there.
Yeah. Yep. I had a guy once and he was giving a public talk somewhere, a public speech. He holds up a piece of paper and it has a round dot in it, a black dot like in the corner. First thing you see here, there's that black dot. There's that small imperfection on a big, pristine white piece of paper. We instantly focus on the one thing that stands out, the one negative.
Yeah. Correct.
99% of it is just pristine, white, perfect paper.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing we see. That's just kind of how we're prone to think of things.
Yeah. So how do you then make content that is positive but somehow still engaging, or positive but evokes emotion? I suppose that's what's like trickling through my head right now, because.
Sure.
Well, but that's like, we've tried to do that, and that's buy, hold, sell. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you don't. That's like, if someone's going to pay the higher price, sell it, and we don't want to buy into that sort of sellout mentality. But I mean, it's a hobby after all.
Yeah, like I think that's part of the hobby, though. Like that's why we talk about it.
The problem with the negative discussion, and it's true as far as my experience has been, is talk to any gambler. They will tell you about every big win they've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
They will never tell you how often they've lost everything. And that's the thing. Just the positive stories. That's what's happening at the moment, is everyone's pointing out it's the opposite.
I was going to say, are you
it's
saying
actually
that
the
cards
opposite.
is the opposite to gambling? Yeah.
But everyone's keen to point out other people's failures rather than celebrate whatever successes they have. It's more entertaining to talk about failures, and I just think promoting that is not good for the hobby. So,
yeah, my thing too is always, what's the motive behind it? Because like we've done some pretty rough pieces on things before.
Yeah.
When SGC a couple years ago jacked their prices up and extended wait times, like that was the open of our show. Like, what a stupid move. This is a terrible thing for the hobby.
Yep.
But what's the motive? Am I just pointing out something negative because I know it's going to get clicks? And I get why people do that. And honestly, I feel bad saying this. Like, I can't even knock guys who do that, because I think, you know what? What's going to get you the most clicks in this business right now? Controversial, negative. So to me, it's like, but I'm also the flip side of that. I'm never going to be like, hey, send in your most fun story. We're going to do a whole show on your favorite collecting moment. I may work that in for a couple seconds into a thing. Like you asked me today, what was my I'm happy to talk about it. I'm never going to build a show around it.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about negative stuff. The kaboom thing. But the problem I guess I have, even more than negative talk, is just sensationalism.
Yep.
If there is a legit scam, or one of these companies is legitimately, whether it's a manufacturer, grading company, whatever it is, if there's an actual problem, accountability comes with negativity to a degree. You got to hold their feet to the fire.
Yep. Yeah.
But we don't need to then, again, because what it has become is, okay, there's Crown Royal, we can identify a kaboom. Still tough to do, sealed case. It's months later, it clearly wasn't that prevalent of a thing.
Yep.
But now it's become, well, what other products is this happening in?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you go find it and tell me?
Yeah.
Don't raise that question, because, again, you're going to lead people down the road of, well, every product is, you can tell with the serial number, is a huge issue. Why don't you go do some research? Pull some numbers. Hey, these other products, that's also apparent in. Or, hey, you know what? We looked into these other products, we haven't found it. Maybe this was a one-off. But if I kind of just lead you down a little bit of a sensational path, imagination's a great thing.
People will don the old tinfoil hat and jump on board. Yeah, exactly right. It's the hype train, but yeah, for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Alrighty, I think this next guy, literally, in my mind, is going to go by one name and one name very shortly. Is Banchero. Where are you sitting with him at the moment?
So I actually recently bought some Banchero stuff. I don't even know what this is out of, by the way. He has Recon rookies, and I don't know why.
Huh?
Recon has not come out for this product yet.
Give me 2 seconds. I actually know what this is from.
Is it from like a Chronicles or a draft box or something?
It's called Chronicles Draft.
Okay.
Chronicles Draft Picks is what it's called. Yeah.
He must be in a college uniform then. I didn't even notice that part. I just bought a few cards.
It's definitely college. Yeah. Yeah.
I tell you what, the kid can play.
That's for sure.
It's rare you see people play all three. He can score, he can pass, he can rebound.
He mentioned pass a lot. Yeah.
I'll tell you the other thing that impressed me. It was game 3, 4, 5 of the season, whatever it was, a couple weeks ago. He played the Celtics, so I watched that entire game.
Yeah.
In crunch time, he was almost always on Jalen or on Tatum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When a young kid is like, "Hey, because you got to have attitude."
Well, you've got to want that assignment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was not afraid to take the shot. Yeah. I mean, honestly, the last player we've seen really do something like that offensively is Luka. He'll do all three.
Yeah.
But obviously, this kid, if he's willing to step up defensively,
he's a bigger body than Luka, I think. Yeah.
Yep. And that's actually a weird team in Orlando. Like Cole Anthony can score in bunches. I think that's one of those teams, though. You need like
Wagner's got a whole lot of attitude under his arm. Like that team's going to be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think next year that's the type of team. Like make one off-season vet acquisition. Doesn't have to be a star.
Yeah.
Give me Al Horford 5 years ago on that team. That team is probably a 50-win team. I think that's a really good team. I think they're one piece away.
I just want to go back to Banchero for 2 seconds. People have been saying crazy stuff like he's the next Michael Jordan. I like him as the next Grant Hill. What's your comp or modern day comp on him?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, I have trouble. I don't think he's ever going to score like Jordan. I think he's a very good scorer. I don't ever see him scoring like that.
I don't like the Jordan comp at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, quite frankly, you could almost compare him to a Larry Bird type. I know that's way off. We're just playing sensational fantasy world, but
what's the Larry Bird comp though? Like, just flesh that out a little bit for us.
So again, body style similar. Bird was probably a little taller, but Banchero's a little more athletic, so I think it balances out the lack in height. Okay. But the court vision I like. Again, he's nowhere near the passer of Bird.
I was gonna say Larry was like pretty
Larry Magic, best passer. Yeah, he is nowhere near that creativity. So that's a tough one. So Bird without the creativity, I guess. No, because
that'll come with age, though, right?
I think Larry was a bit better of a shooter. I think.
Oh, great shooter. So that's what I mean. Because he's an average shooter at best.
Yeah.
Right now, right?
Yeah.
Below average?
I think his mechanics look good. I think the 3-point, like the 3-point shot in the NBA.
I wouldn't say it's below average. I'd say just average.
It's a tough transition. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. So who is that wing type guy that is an average shooter, can be aggressive, and can pass? I think he's a tough modern. That's a good question. Who right now do you say he is similar to XYZ? I mean, Paul George is a much better shooter, and he's a guard, not a 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a weird. That's why I like him. I mean, honestly, he's LeBron-like. LeBron early on, not as explosive to the rim, but he's a better shooter than LeBron was early.
Yeah.
Again, not as talented. LeBron is hard to compare anybody with 1 year in.
Yeah.
But that is the vibe. If he's going to do all 3, and people forget, early on, LeBron took those defensive assignments.
Yeah.
LeBron's the guy who went at, not even Kobe. LeBron's the guy who went at Paul Pierce. That you ask him early in his career, it was Pierce. That was the rival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do see some of that in the kid.
Yeah.
So
look, I'm super high on this kid, so I'm always asking you a leading question now. But what's your hobby sort of take on this? Because my feeling is Orlando PYT is going to be at least 25% above everything else. At least that's what I'm feeling at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be. OKC will be expensive because the Chet is still going to sell, and I think people are going to actively pursue him.
Yeah.
Who is the kid? Oh man, I am brutal. Kenneth. He's averaging like 25 points right now for the Pacers.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mathurin. Yeah.
I mean, he can score better than Kenneth. That was close.
Yeah.
Sheesh. I think people are actually going to be, but again, right back to that point of negativity, the talk forever has been this class is going to stink except for Chet. That was the narrative for months. Then Chet goes down. Well, now this class just stinks, period. And now we're seeing like 3 or 4 legit scorers out of this class.
Yeah, this
and
is
I
actually...
I think if we had, you put the buildup of 2019 or 2020 into this class, this stuff would be exploding right now.
Yeah, that's right.
If we had the mindset of, oh, these are the guys.
Yeah, that's why I think this is fun, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's spots you can really pick some people.
Yeah.
And Banchero, what a great project in the offseason. Like, if you're like me and think next year, not only is he going to be a star, but they're going to win games.
Yeah.
Load up in the offseason, and the market allows me to do that at a fraction of what it would have been years past.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm just really excited to see this kid come out. I'm trying to think when was the last time I felt this way about like a rookie coming out. And
like someone that you want to watch.
Yeah,
I liked LaMelo like that. I'll be honest. I thought for a different reason, but LaMelo brought a pretty cool creativity I actually liked. Plus, I hated his family. Like, you just kind of hate the brand. And so I was like, I want to watch him. And then you actually kind of like the kid after you see him.
Yeah, you're like, he's going to be a train wreck. And then you watch him and you go, I'm actually starting to root for this kid. Yeah. Ja
Morant, too. I loved watching Ja early. And I like watching him still. Ja, to me, is going to be that Westbrook type that can score in bunches, except he's an actual, contributes to winning, I guess, more.
I'm not saying this because you're a Boston connection, but I think for me it's probably like Tatum. And how I got onto collecting Fox, to be honest, was watching that sort of rookie crop. I think that's where it's taking me back in that sort of mindset. I just can't actually express as how high on this kid I am.
So I don't think he can score like Tatum. Well, we'll see. Tatum's 5 years in. But
I'm just saying this is how excited I am to see someone play. Like, I just think, it's just...
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this. Tatum can't pass like Banchero can.
No.
Not from what I've seen. Tatum will give you flashes, but he does not look to pass like that. Tatum's a scorer.
He just gets the ball off the backboard and just comes up the court, and they just run their offense just smoothly through him. And for a big rookie to do that, Zion did that a little bit. When they started doing point Zion at the end of last year, same thing. I was like, man, we got so down on, hey, he's fat, he can't play, he's never going to be healthy. Yeah.
When he is, and here's the other thing that kills me with the Zion stuff, isn't it? He still can't shoot though. So you're telling me, he can't shoot, which by the way is not true. He has a decent shooting percentage. He can't shoot, and you still can't stop him.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. If you know what I'm going to do and I still do it, that's an issue. I'd love to see that kid stay healthy and go nuts.
Yeah, I hope he stays healthy too.
Yeah, I'm over the every now and then seeing Zion get injured again and again, and it's like, oh, now Zion's out. It's like, just let him play and just watch him grow. But
yeah.
So is there a rooting interest for you guys? You guys have a like the Kings or not? Where's De'Aaron Fox? He's not with the Kings anymore, is he?
He's still with the Kings.
They kept him.
To be honest, I'm an NBA atheist, so I just watch like whatever's good.
Okay.
At the moment, I'm watching a lot of Magic, and actually, I quite like the Warriors this year. I'm really enjoying watching Steph just do his thing, and I definitely would tune into Fox just because of what I collect. But I try and just sort of see what the best game of the day is and just check that out. So
I watch a bit on League Pass, but yes, unfortunately, my loyalties lie with purple and gold, and we're not having a fun time. So I'm just...
How sad do you feel for the Lakers fans at the moment?
I reckon they all need to shut up at the moment. Because, I don't know. I said it 2 years ago that Anthony Davis is the problem. Everyone seems to point the fingers pointed back at Davis.
Yeah, the health is an issue.
Yeah,
it's too bad because he's probably still top 5 at his peak when healthy.
Correct. Well, what did I call him on the show? We've called him Anthony Day 2 Davis because he's literally always listed
every
as
day
to day.
Yeah. Yep.
Not sure if he's going to take the court.
Westbrook's a problem. LeBron's still very good, but doesn't have the cast at that age you need it. And Davis, I don't. There's again, you give me in a vacuum everybody at their peak right now.
Yeah.
There's not 5 players definitively better than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just can't stay healthy. Like,
Yep.
I think for me, it's as simple as that now. I don't even really think about Davis anymore, to be honest. It's just like it's just a health issue.
But he does that. He'll put in a monster half, and then he'll grab his back on the way to the locker room, and he won't play again for the rest of the game because he's in pain.
And availability, still the best ability going. Like, that is probably still LeBron's one of LeBron's best qualities as a player.
Yeah,
the guys they just don't miss time. I mean, pretty impressive.
But hey, Mike, we've just ticked over an hour and 10, and I'm a little bit conscious of, we're taking up too much of your time. Do you want to chat a little bit more, or do you want to tie it off? Or
yeah, I got a few minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, do you want to do the Pelicans review?
Do we want to do one of our? Well, because this is the last team on our list of teams we haven't really looked at and covered. Did you want to go through the Pelicans and have a look at them hobby wise? Since we did touch on Zion, I guess.
Yeah, cool.
I'm in.
All right. I'm googling now because I wouldn't know the bench.
Just run it in when you're ready, mate, and I'll just edit it in.
All right. Well, let's bring up the New Orleans Pelicans roster, and I tell you what, the one thing I don't see here is depth.
So, Mike, what we sort of just do is just like talk about the players on the roster, and then if you see anything that you would definitely buy or something that you would definitely stay away from, or just like sort of just stuff like that. Like if there's someone who you think's like a bit of a smoky that you would pick up, or
why you would pick the Pelicans in a PYT if you don't go for the Pelicans.
Yeah.
So who is their rookie? That's one thing I have no clue about. Do they have a big rookie to chase in this class?
Well, the one for us, it's the Aussie kid. It's Dyson Daniels. So for Australian collectors, there's sort of that extra like 25% tax you sort of chuck on top of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, other than that.
Yeah.
Sorry, is it okay if you just run this in, mate? Sorry, because I was this bit. No, sorry, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. What do you mean run it in? As in?
Just say like now we're gonna like talk about this.
Oh, you want it cropped so you can crop that in?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yep, thanks, Ben.
All right. Well, now we're gonna talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. Let's go through the complete roster. The first thing I see here is a lack of depth. So, do we want to talk about starters, rookies, or what to kick us off?
Well, where do you see lack of depth though? Because if you look at their depth chart, to me it's like the opposite. Like they're absolutely stacked.
I see starters. I see Ingram. I see McCollum. I see Valanciunas. I see Zion. And then I obviously, is it Devontae Graham that's at the point?
Yeah.
But through that, I don't see names that really stand out to me as if one of these five go down is an instant step up.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of New Orleans. I was surprised with the way they went last season towards the end, without Zion, might I add.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Do you think they've got depth or?
Well, I think to me, like the intrigue on this team, particularly when it comes to the hobby side, is Herb Jones.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yep.
Yeah, Najee Marshall and Trey Murphy. They're the three that I'm kind of like most interested in.
Yep.
And I think also too, like if you talk about sort of ceiling, where does his team end up? Obviously, it's dependent a lot on Zion.
Yeah.
I think for me, like CJ McCollum and Ingram is like the part that is the most consistent, and whether you like their ceiling or not. But I don't know. For me, and I suspect like the success of the team is going to be a little bit dependent on Herb Jones and then Trey Murphy. So I think that's where I like them in the hobby space, because I don't really feel like their prices are cheap, but I also don't feel like they're super expensive either. So
yeah, it's an interesting take. I don't know. Zion's obviously the all-encompassing player on the roster, right? As far as the hobby goes.
Why don't we do Zion and get it out of the way, and then we'll sort of dig into a couple of others. How about that?
Yeah, I was like, we were gonna do the Pelicans without Zion.
Yeah,
because that's pretty much how they've been for the last year or so.
Right.
Where are you sitting with Zion, Mike? Are you buying?
I'm holding everything. Yeah, I bought super heavy, too expensive. I will sell it at a loss, but I do think it's going to grow. So I think it's going to keep steadily moving up.
Were you picking it up in the off season when it was like down?
Some of the stuff I've had for 2 years. I went really heavy on him.
Yeah.
I sold a ton the night he made his debut, when he had 17 straight points. Yeah. I went like a maniac, sold a bunch of stuff, and then kind of slowly loaded back in after that. But you know what is weird about them? I wonder how many teams in the league have 3 starters that average 20 points like they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, very well balanced.
There cannot be that many teams in the NBA that have 3 20-point average starters. Or players in general.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious. Man, that's my rabbit hole for the day. I'm trying to think of another team that would have 3. It's very exciting. See, you're opening my eyes.
Yeah, it's the bench. It's the bench that gets the third one in every one that I've put through. Yeah, you're right.
Are there some that have 3 though, even if it's not a starter?
Well, I know. Actually, no. Westbrook's getting up towards 20, but he's not at over 20 yet.
Yeah.
Because you got Davis, LeBron, and Westbrook.
Okay.
But Westbrook's at 19 point something off the bench.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like the Celtics don't have that. I can't imagine.
What about Cleveland?
Yeah, the Cavs maybe.
Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and no, Mobley's not getting 20, is he?
What about the Warriors? Who's...
No. Steph.
Pool's not getting anywhere near 20, is he? No.
Poole, no.
Yeah, you're right.
Hijacking the segment. I apologize. I think Zion, if you're patient, could still be a guy because I do think. I mean, if the Pelicans stay again, everybody's if they stay healthy. But I like to play best case scenario.
Yeah.
Like who in the West is like that much better in a playoff series? The Warriors, no question. Like I think they're still the best team when they play right. They proved it last year.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, do you fear Utah in a playoff series? They don't have a number 1 scorer in the playoffs. I don't fear them. I think that's a perfect example of the Hawks back in the day. Great regular season team. I'm not taking them to.
Are you talking about the Kyle Korver, Al Horford, Jeff Teague Hawks?
Yeah, those Hawks used to be every year.
Yeah.
They would be a top 3 seed in the East.
Yeah.
And they couldn't win because you have to have a score. So I don't fear them.
So do you want my hot take on the Jazz? I think they're still going to be in the draft lottery. I think, like, you have to remember it's an 82-game season, right? There's no way that Danny Ainge...
Draft lottery?
Seriously, man. There's no way they don't get a lottery pick. Because I think the other thing we need to, like, keep in mind, yes, it's 82-game season, but remember how they flattened the lottery odds? So there's actually not a heap of motivation to be the worst team. Like, you only need to be, like, the 4th or the 5th worst team.
See, Adam, you can't let him get away with that. He just said lottery odds.
I'm trying to process that.
Odds. You can't let him get away with that, Adam. I knew you saw that.
It's 1 in the morning here, man.
I know.
All right. No, now I don't trust my ears because it's 1 in the morning.
This is a hot take. They are 9-3.
That team's record. They're not built to win, though.
They're the best record in the West at the moment.
Yeah, okay. I like this take. But here's my point. I think they're a playoff team, but I don't fear them in the playoffs.
No.
Phoenix, a little bit more, but I don't really fear Phoenix because Chris Paul's a choke artist. Portland, I don't even know if they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Denver, I'm really high on. So there's one definitively better.
Yeah.
Dallas, I'm high on, but it's a one-trick pony. How far do they go with Luka? Memphis, kind of similar. Like, if you told me the Pelicans beat Memphis in a series, I wouldn't be totally shocked.
I think Memphis can be okay, though, because I
do, too.
My
Memphis
is
good without Ja. That's been the big positive.
Yeah, but also now they're battle-tested. Like, they had a pretty tough year last year.
No question. But would you be shocked if they go in as the 3, and a 6 seed beats them?
No, would not be surprised. Yep.
I wouldn't be shocked if they won, but I'm also not like they are not like this unbelievable year after year team that just wins. They've had 1 year where they won a series and a half. Yeah. Great year, but that's what I mean. Who out west are you like? There's no chance the Pelicans, if things are going right, they could beat. I don't think they could beat Golden State if they had Golden State's 3-7. I don't think the Pelicans have a shot to beat them in the world. I don't think they're beating Phoenix in the series. Yeah. After that, I give them at least decent odds. So that's why I'm telling you, I think it gets weird with them because I think they have that type of a team, an unbelievable defender in Herb Jones and 3 20-point scorers and some veteran leadership. Valanciunas as a 4-5.
Valanciunas is such a sneaky, underrated big.
Yeah, and then that guard they have, the point guard, Spanish last name.
He's Jose Alvarado.
Yes, he's the dude who hangs back, but he plays crazy, chippy defense. He's almost like that Marcus Smart. That's why a team like that I like to play Fantasy World. Yeah. Everything clicks, and this team makes a Western Conference Finals run out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not going to happen, but I wouldn't be shocked. So.
Yeah.
Okay. What about Kira Lewis Jr.? Are you buying any of him?
I don't trust men named Kira. So nope.
That's fair. That's a real hot take there.
That's my hot take.
Sample size of 1. All right, who else? Like Brandon Ingram. There's a name that puts up points. But hobby-wise, I guess this is what I'm just trying to illustrate. Hobby-wise, who's buying Brandon Ingram?
No one, right? But it's funny, 22 points a game on a playoff team.
Yeah, like
who else is averaging that kind of point on a playoff team?
All-star level player.
Yep.
And people aren't buying him. So
yeah, he's another guy. He fell out of favor so hard.
Yep.
That then it was like, and he's not the number one on his team. The number one hobby guy is Zion. It's tough to be a number 2.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of legit number. Jaylen Brown suffers the same thing. Tatum's the guy, so Jaylen suffers so hard.
We talked about this a while back. We had another Boston fan on, and we were talking about Brown and Tatum, and how underrated Brown is in comparison. Is like that, like hobby wise, Jaylen Brown just gets no love, and he deserves a lot more.
Yep. It's funny, Ingram, so his PSA 10 2016 sells for about $60. It's actually a lot higher than I was thinking.
Is that the base? Yeah.
Yeah, just the base. His optic is 25. His Prism Silver PSA 10 still over 400. Okay, so actually, Ingram does okay, I guess. But you would still, if I gave you just that in just a stat line, 22 points, 7-8 rebounds, a few assists, and a playoff contender. You would think that would be more. But
yeah, so I suppose I think that's the question that's going through my head now. So PSA 10 last sold for $393, and you're projecting that team could go to the Western Conference Finals if everything plays out right. Like, I'm okay with that, considering that they made the play-in last year with McCollum without Zion. Another 12 months under their belt. Those 3 sort of wings, I'm totally fine with that theory. So in that scenario, what would you say Ingram is, buy, hold, or sell? Yeah.
I mean, if you are optimistic like I am,
yeah,
buy. If you're a little bit more reasonable, it's like, okay, let's at least hold it. No reason to sell early.
Yep.
But I don't think I would sell right now.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I actually think the Pelicans probably do deserve a little bit more of a look in and sort of spending a bit more time like working through these guys because,
it's a good team.
Yeah, I see a lot of potential here. Yeah.
Yep. And I see a weak Western Conference. At least right now, I don't think there's
vulnerable
powerhouses.
It's not as rock solid as it used to be in the West, and is a lot of vulnerability. Yeah.
Yeah. When you go down that list, tell me a team that definitively is beating them in a series right now.
Yeah.
I could think of 2. There's probably 4 or 5.
Yeah, you're right. Golden State and Denver are the 2 that came to my mind straight away.
Yep, and I think I would throw Phoenix in. So 3.
Yep.
After that, I think you have 3 to 5 teams where it's.
Well, they pushed Phoenix last year. They pushed Phoenix as a play-in team.
Yep, but Booker got hurt after game 2.
Yeah, that's true. This is true.
So that's tough. But
Zion's back now, right?
But Zion's back.
Yeah. So
and you have a full year with McCollum, and Herb Jones is now a starter. That's what I mean. I don't think you can look at that and be like, oh, there's just 7 teams that are beating them hands down a series. I think there's 3, and I think there's 3 or 4 more that it's kind of a toss-up-ish.
Yeah.
Which I like. There's a lot of parity, which I actually like out west, because I don't think that's the case in the East.
Yeah.
My current favorite actually to win the West is Phoenix, and just like hear me out a little bit on this. So I think last year they were a little bit under the weather with that whole Robert Sala thing, because remember that was all happening in the background, but it hadn't come out yet. So Chris Paul was very much aware of that. Then the Ayton contract extension, that was like essentially holding that team hostage. And now that we know Jay Crowder's asked for a trade, so I actually suspect once they pick up a piece for him, I think the chemistry is going to be a bit better. All that sort of background noise is like muted, if not, completely silenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have as good a chance of anybody in the West.
Booker is better this year. I think that's fair to say. And Chris Paul is probably the best true point guard in the game. I think that's important, particularly the way they've got their team set up. So, and I think, we were just talking about how Utah is currently playing, and I think they're going to be a lottery team. So I think, can't you then apply the same rule to the Warriors? Like, why does everyone automatically think that the Warriors are going to just automatically go back to the finals again?
Yeah. Best roster, deepest roster, best player in the game.
Proven history.
Best player in the West, in my opinion, still. I still trust Curry to score when I need a bucket in the playoffs. Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, so how come Utah isn't going to be, like, the worst team in the league, right?
Because I'm not putting my hopes and dreams on Jordan Clarkson's back.
Yeah, but they're also 9-3.
Yeah,
if you told me this before the season, I would have been like, yeah, lottery team, no question. 9-3 against a, again, pretty mediocre West.
They've got it. They've tried to clean house, like clean out the roster so they could go tank for a lottery pick. And it's like Danny Ainge has brought a bunch of people in with chips on their shoulder that want to perform, and now all of a sudden,
has the chippiest of chip on his shoulder. I'm actually okay. Fine, I'll agree with that. Yeah.
And here's the tough thing too with that. So again, just because we're 12 games in, they've played 12 games. They've got 70 games left to go. I don't know. I can't look. Maybe one of you guys may be able to check this. What did the seeds 7, 8, 9, 10 last year? Anybody have any idea how many games they won? Because this is why I'm super negative on your hot take. Only for this reason.
Sure.
Because I'm trying to think. I know Zion played in last year. The Lakers obviously missed it. Who else was there? Maybe Memphis? No, Memphis was in. The Spurs?
Regular season, that's the Eastern Conference. Western Conference.
Yeah, so...
Spurs? Wait. Lakers missed out, right. Spurs, Clippers, Pelicans, Timberwolves were 7 through 10. And
So Timberwolves were 7. So how many wins did they have?
46.
Okay.
The Spurs...
Yep.
Yeah, all right, so the 10th seed was 34 wins.
Okay, so they got to win 25 more games to hit that level, right? The Utah does.
Yep.
25 out of 70. They can literally go 25 and 45 and still make the playoffs, probably. If that stat holds true for this year.
That's the play-in, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a pretty horrendous pace, especially for a team that has started 9-3. That's what I mean. It's going to be tough for them to play that. Like, they're going to have to really tank at this point. Because 25 and 40 is a tough pace to keep. You got to be pretty consistently bad to do that.
Yeah, if they get to 20 wins by the midway through, like the midway point of the season, you're then Danny Ainge starts fretting and going, "How do we put the G League team in?"
So in that case, Ainge should get fired, right? You can't trade away Donovan Mitchell for nothing and then be a
better team.
Do you know what I mean? In the Wembanyama draft year, that is insane.
I just don't know what else they could have done because they got rid of him and Gobert. You got rid of everybody.
Yeah. They cleared it out to try and get the number 1 pick.
Yep, and all those guys, like you said, a bunch of chip on their shoulders, Lauri Markkanen's, I can play enough, and you can't tell me what to do, and I'm going to do my thing. And you can't convince players to tank. It doesn't do them any benefit. So
no, exactly. Exactly.
It's like, hang on. The numbers are so against them. Mediocre schedule. It's not a powerhouse like it used to be. And you have to be that bad now just because of your hot 12-game start.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be shocked if they didn't win 25 more games.
Want to know how to play, how to tank real bad? Just go and ask Rob Pelinka.
You're actually talking me out of this. I'm feeling shakier about this, but I'm still holding on to this.
You're still holding? Yeah.
This is my hot take. I'm going to die on this hill.
Good.
I like it.
Of the rookies, who are we looking at? Who are we taking a punt on? Who's going to go? Who's the buy? Who's going to be the buy this year?
He's got one name, Banchero.
I meant of the New Orleans roster.
Oh, from the Pels.
The Pels.
Oh, yeah, I don't even know. You named a rookie when we were off, and I couldn't even tell you.
Well, we've got...
That'll be Dyson Daniels then.
Dyson Daniels is the Aussie, right? So we will have a lot of local interest in this. Like, it just naturally, when there's a rookie from another country, in that country, people from the hobby want to collect it.
And he's playing 12 minutes a game. It's not like he's not contributing. So.
Yes. I think there was a little bit of projection that he would actually be starting by the end of the year. I don't think that's out of the question.
Is he a scorer? I don't know anything about his game. Is he a scorer or more of a true point?
Rebound, defends, can dribble a little bit. Not the best shooter, but can shoot it a little bit. Yeah. And athletic. I think that's the part that you would get him in the lineup for that. It's like maybe a more mobile version of Jackson Hayes. I think that's what they would envisage him being. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. So there might be an opportunity through the season.
I like it.
Okay. Mike, final thoughts? You want to tie yourself?
No, we've been talking for an hour and a half. What else you want?
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it. I very cool to connect with guys from another country just because I'm always curious, like, hey, what is going on? So I do have one final question. I'm just very curious. You guys are obviously NBA for yourselves. The card market in Australia. What's the pie chart look like? NBA is X%, baseball, football, soccer. What's that kind of look like?
Very dominant as far as NBA goes. think there's more of a soccer market is the secondary. Would you say soccer or football?
I think first is basketball, second would be baseball.
Okay. Really?
I didn't think there was much baseball interest.
Okay, yeah, that's shocking to me. Okay.
Yeah, I think. Look, I could be biased. My brother is like all baseball, so maybe that is just my own sort of like family bias. But I think
he's the only person I know that collects baseball. FYI.
I'd say NFL, and then I think soccer is somewhere between NFL and baseball.
Yeah, I feel like soccer's moving into the space a lot more.
Yeah.
Is there a big ramp up with the World Cup?
Well, yeah. In Australia, we're very sport focused when it's on. So once the World Cup happens, I'm sure interest will increase.
My observation of the thing that's ramping at the moment is the F1. I think we're being
F1.
a little bit behind the US for that, but I can definitely. I'm starting to see that like a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing that is definitely here, but is more sort of underground is ice hockey. That's the other thing that there's some really like passionate ice hockey guys about it.
I mean, we've also got our own national sport, and in Australia there are collector cards for our Australian rules football. So there are a lot of people.
Which is different than rugby?
Yes.
Or is that? It is. Okay.
It's a really confusing game, and it's the easiest way to confuse Americans apparently. Bring you guys to a game and you just don't understand what's happening.
Doesn't take much. I mean, Perth, Melbourne, same city. I don't know. It doesn't take a lot.
There's a big rock in the middle of the country. That's all you need to know.
I like it.
If you ever get 2 seconds to check out some of the AFL football cards, the quality comparison is they're like iMac cards.
Huh.
Yeah.
Without the stickers. That's probably the comparison. That actually I don't collect them at all, but looking at them, you're like, it's quite nice.
There's some good stuff coming out of the local producers. Yeah.
Nice.
Well,
cool.
Mike, we can't thank you enough. You've just been generous, gracious, the whole works, and honestly, I think I can speak for Adam on this. We've been very much looking forward to this and quite excited before you came on tonight. So, like, thank you.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. Hey, I'll do it again. I mean, if you guys want to do it again, just let me know. Shoot me a message on Twitter. Just call me out on Twitter again. I'll respond.
That's it.
I like that. That was when you won me over right there. Yep.
I read Russell's message.
Loved it. Jesse called me. He's like, "You see this message?" I was like, "Oh man, I'm ready to replace Jesse." It's like, "Hey, you don't have to come on the show, but this blowing us off stuff is bullcrap." I'm on. Book it.
That was a private message, by the way. We didn't need to.
Loved it. This is a compliment. I did. I'll come anytime, man. Let me know.
That said, Mike, you're the first person to tell me to actually talk over people rather than shut up and not talk over people. So thank you. Thank you.
Do your thing, man. I enjoyed it, fellas. Thank you.
It was awesome.
Thanks, guys.
All right, what do I do now?
Just have to wait literally 2 seconds, and you're done. That's it. Yeah.
No.
So
your files have finished uploading.